Okay, everyone, this is the portion where we lay out the top and bottom plates. So what we're going to end up doing is building a wall section. And we've got to figure out how we want to space these studs out. Now, in the Essential Craftsman video, or maybe you've always heard 16-inch on center. In residential framing, they will place studs 16 inches on center because the walls might be load-bearing. There's a lot of pressure or downward force on the walls, and so they need that kind of spacing in order to increase the strength. We go 24 inches on center or 2 feet on center in our storage sheds because it's just most efficient. We end up saving a couple studs, and we don't really need a critical amount of strength compression-wise. It's going to have snow on it, maybe some side load, but it's sufficient. So how do we go about laying out 24-inch on center on our top and bottom plates? We are using pre-cuts. Pre-cuts meaning we've already figured out that if we do a single bottom plate and a double top plate, and we put this in between here as a pre-cut, we are going to come out to exactly 8 inches on paper, which you can maybe see by the outline there. You can order pre-cuts as well. 92 and 5/8 inches is what they would come as, and that will give you an 8-foot wall if you do a bottom plate and a double top plate. Okay, so we still have to figure out how to space them this way. So we're going to put our two 12-inch boards, or I will call them 12-footers because that's what they are scaled to. Put our two 12-footers together on edge. We are going to stretch a tape or use our ruler, one of the two, next to it. On the first stud, we're going to go the width, one width in of a 2x4, and we're going to make a mark on the edge of where that 2x4 should be. And then we're going to X back to where that 2x4 needs to stand. Moving forward from here, we want the 2x4s to land every 24 inches on center. Now, if we just went 2 feet from this, or 2 inches, and we placed the next one, the problem is going to be that we're actually not going to end up 2 foot on center or 4 foot on center. Because if we place these here, if I do this, I'm lined up right with my edge of my 4 foot. If I placed a 4 foot sheet to this edge, it would come out just to the edge of the material here and it would fall past this or not catch. So what we have to do is we have to center that on 2 foot. There's a number of ways to do that. In the video they talk about you can, if we were doing a 24, we'd actually go to 24 3/4, make a mark and X back. On our tapes, we can go to 2 1/8 inches. We can make a mark on the board, and then we can X back. And we can go to 4 1/8 inches, make a mark on the board, and then X back. And for the sake of habit, I'm going to ask that you grab your speed square, make these lined up, and then strike these across both boards. We're making our top and bottom plate match. It's a little bit difficult to work with the material. X. That X is really important, and that it signifies a stud, right? And I believe I marked that one correctly as well. And I'm going to mark out the rest of these. And now I know that if I place my stud on that mark, the center of my board is coming out at 4 inches or 4 feet. So if I put a sheet of material on here, it's going to center up over that, in the middle of that, and I can actually share that between 2 sheets of sheathing. That's the purpose of that. If I go off of the end of this now, I can just go every 2 inches. That's probably confusing for you, but 2, 4. Well, that's moving all over the place. 6. And the last one should line up. I could also pull the tape and show that as well. If you only have a tape measure, might actually work better. The numbers are closer anyway. If I hook these on, I'm to 2 1/8 here, maybe a little strong. I'm to 4 1/8 here, maybe a little strong as well. And all the way down, 6 1/4, 10 1/4. I think my rivets aren't pulled is why. My pop rivets. Okay. Flush these one more time. Mark up the rest of these. And then I'm going to have studs that should come out to the end of the board there. I can take one of these and go like this, put it up to the top, and I've got the start of my wall section. I'm gonna grab my pre-cuts. I can look these over a little bit. I need 7 of them. Make sure they're even height so that they're flush on both ends. Then I can lay out some sticks in here. As far as how to fasten these together, well, if you have a hot glue gun, it works pretty well. I am not going to demonstrate it with a hot glue gun because I feel like that might not be equitable if you don't have one. Maybe it's confusing. We sent some glue home for those of you who needed glue, and otherwise we put glue together. Now the joints here, if you just end glue these, I don't know how strong it's going to be. I'm gonna try it and see if it'll hold together. But your second alternative is to glue it down to the paper, and then we can cut the paper after that and use that as sheathing. For now, we can try gluing just the ends and see how it comes out. Normally, we'd have a air nailer and we'd go whap, 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 and we'd nail these in. Or if we were doing it in Woods 1, we'd probably screw them together, because if we screw it up, we can unscrew it up. And the nails would actually hold this in place too. So we'll see how much retention the glue has. I'll glue this up and we'll see how it goes. Dot, not a lot. Remember the saying, dot.